It was 11:45 p.m. A light rain was falling over the small town of Ravenswood, Washington. Most stores had already closed, the streets were nearly empty, and people were safely inside their homes. But 24-year-old Emily Johnson was still on her way home from work. Emily worked as a waitress at a local restaurant. She was known for being hardworking, friendly, and independent. Like every other night, she finished her shift and got into her car. There were two routes to her house. The first was the main highway, which was longer but safer. The second was an old shortcut that passed by Black Hollow Cemetery, a place surrounded by dark legends and frightening stories. Normally, Emily avoided that road. But the rain was getting heavier, and she wanted to get home quickly, so she chose the shortcut. She had no idea it would become the most terrifying night of her life. As she drove down the lonely road, rain hammered against her windshield. Tall trees lined both sides of the street, creating a tunnel of darkness. A few minutes later, she reached the area near Black Hollow Cemetery. The place had a terrible reputation. Locals claimed strange things happened there after midnight. Emily never believed those stories. Suddenly, her car jerked violently. The engine died. The headlights went out. Everything around her was swallowed by darkness. Emily tried starting the engine again. Nothing. Again. Nothing. She grabbed her phone. No signal. Not even one bar. For the first time that night, fear crept into her mind. Then, thud. Something landed on the roof of her car. Emily froze. A few seconds later, thud. The sound came again, louder, heavier. She slowly looked upward through the windshield. Nothing. Then suddenly, bang! Something slammed against the driver's side window. Emily screamed. She immediately turned toward the glass. Nobody was there. Only rain. And darkness. Her heart raced. Then she noticed a light in the distance near the cemetery. A small flickering glow. It looked like someone was holding a lantern. After a moment of hesitation, Emily stepped out of the car. Rain soaked her clothes instantly. She carefully walked toward the mysterious light. As she got closer, she realized it wasn't a lantern. It was a candle. A single candle placed on top of a fresh grave. Emily stopped. She looked down at the tombstone. The moment she read the name, her blood turned cold. The grave read, Emily Johnson, born 2001, died 2026, her own name, her own birth year. Emily felt her knees weaken. This has to be a joke, she whispered. Then a man's voice spoke behind her. No, it's not. Emily slowly turned around. A tall man stood in the rain. He wore a black raincoat. His face was hidden in the darkness. Who are you? Emily asked. The man smiled, a cold, terrifying smile. I'm the one who brought the others here. Emily's heart nearly stopped. She turned and ran. The man immediately chased her. She sprinted between rows of graves while rain poured from the sky. Her shoes slipped in the mud. She screamed for help. But nobody was there. The cemetery was completely deserted. Then her foot caught on a stone. She fell hard onto the ground. The man slowly approached. In his hand was a large knife. The blade reflected the lightning flashing above. Emily crawled backward. Terror filled every part of her body. She knew she was trapped. Then suddenly, a scream echoed across the cemetery. A woman's scream, a horrifying scream. Both Emily and the man froze. A second scream followed, then a third. The ground seemed to tremble. Thick white fog began rising from the earth. Within seconds, the cemetery was covered in mist. The man looked around nervously. For the first time, he appeared afraid. Then a figure emerged from the fog. A woman, dressed in white. Long dark hair hung over her face. Her skin appeared completely black beneath the shadows. She slowly walked toward them. The killer's eyes widened. "No," he whispered. "Not you." The figure kept coming. Closer and closer. The man suddenly turned and ran into the darkness, screaming. Emily didn't wait. She jumped to her feet and ran back toward her car. Somehow, when she reached it, the engine started immediately. Without looking back, she sped away from the cemetery. The next morning, police discovered a body inside Black Hollow Cemetery. It was the man in the black raincoat. His name was Victor Kane. His neck had been broken. His face was frozen in absolute terror. Investigators later discovered that Victor was responsible for multiple murders committed over the previous 8 years. But one question remained unanswered. Who killed him? No footprints were found. No evidence existed. Nothing explained what happened that night. Emily never told anyone the full story. Months later, she drove past Black Hollow Cemetery again during daylight. As she glanced toward the graves, she saw something. The woman in white, standing silently among the tombstones. This time she wasn't staring.
She was smiling, almost as if she had protected Emily. Emily immediately drove away, and she never returned. But even today, people in Ravenswood tell the same story. They say that if a murderer hunts an innocent person near Black Hollow Cemetery after midnight, a woman appears from the fog, and by sunrise, the killer is found dead. The end.
It was around 12:30 a.m. A light rain was falling over the small American town of Ravenswood, Washington. Most stores and malls had already closed, the streets were nearly empty, and people were safely inside their homes. But 24-year-old Sarah Miller and her best friend 23-year-old Emma Wilson were still on their way home from shopping. Both friends had bought new clothes, shoes, and gifts from the local shopping mall and were returning. They were sitting in the car, laughing, singing songs, and planning for the next weekend. There were 2 routes to their house. The first was the main highway, which was longer but safer. The second was the old shortcut road that passed by Black Hollow Cemetery, a place surrounded by centuries-old terrifying legends and ghost stories. Normally, both avoided that road. But the rain was getting heavier, and they wanted to get home quickly. So they chose the shortcut. They had no idea that this would become the most terrifying and dangerous night of their lives. As they drove down the lonely road, rain hammered against their windshield. Tall trees on both sides created a tunnel of complete darkness. A few minutes later, they reached the area near Black Hollow Cemetery. Suddenly, their car jerked violently. The engine died. The headlights went out. Everything around them was swallowed by darkness. Sarah tried starting the engine again and again, but nothing happened. Emma took out her phone, but there was no signal, not even a single bar. Both girls held each other's hands in fear. Then, thud! Something heavy landed on the roof of the car. Both became silent. A few seconds later, thud! The sound came again, louder and heavier. Sarah looked up in fear but saw nothing. Suddenly, bang! Something slammed hard against the driver's side window. Both screamed loudly. There was no one outside, only heavy rain and thick darkness. Their hearts were pounding fast. Then they noticed a small flickering light in the distance near the cemetery. It looked like a candle burning. Scared, both got out of the car. Rain instantly soaked their clothes. They carefully walked toward the mysterious light. As they got closer, they saw a candle burning on a fresh grave. Sarah bent down to read the tombstone, and her blood ran cold. The name on the grave was of their old friend who had gone missing a few months ago. Then a cold voice spoke from behind them. "You two have seen too much." Both turned around. In the rain stood a tall, well-built man wearing a black raincoat. His face was hidden in the darkness. He smiled terrifyingly and said, "I had strangled her with a rope, now it's your turn." Both girls screamed in terror and started running between the rows of graves. Their shoes were slipping in the mud, rain was pouring on their faces. They shouted for help, but the cemetery was completely deserted. Suddenly Emma's foot hit a stone and she fell hard on the ground. The man slowly approached them. He had a thick rope in his hand. He wanted to strangle them slowly. Sarah was trying to crawl and help her friend. Terror had filled their entire bodies. They knew it was difficult to escape now. Then suddenly, horrible women's screams echoed across the entire cemetery. One scream after another, the ground began to tremble. Thick white fog started rising from the earth, and within moments the whole area was covered in mist. A woman's figure emerged from the fog. She was dressed in white, long black hair hanging over her face, and her skin appeared completely black underneath. She slowly walked toward the killer. The killer's eyes widened. He trembled and said, "No, not you. Don't come." But the figure kept coming closer and closer. The killer screamed and ran into the darkness. Both friends somehow reached the car. As soon as they sat inside, the engine started immediately. They sped away toward home without looking back. The next morning, the police found the killer's body in Black Hollow Cemetery. His name was Victor Kane. His neck was broken and his face was frozen in absolute terror.
The investigation revealed that he had murdered many girls over the past several years.
But Sarah and Emma did not tell the police anything because they were too scared. A few days later, a letter arrived at both their houses. It said, "You two saw me. Now I will find and kill you. Stay quiet or your turn will come." Along with the letter was a photo of both of them running in the cemetery. Sarah became very scared. She told Emma they should file a complaint with the police. Emma refused, but Sarah went alone to the police station. She told the entire incident. The police registered the case and started investigation. But that same night, someone broke into Sarah's house. The next morning, Sarah's body was found in her bedroom. Her neck was broken and her face was frozen in fear. Emma was now alone. She knew the killer would come for her next.
The police also did not do much. Even today, people in Ravenswood tell this story that if killer hunts innocent girls near Black Hollow Cemetery, the woman in white appears from the fog and kills the murderer. But those who survive as witnesses, the killer finds them himself. The end.